Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer back at it again. I don't even know what day of camp this is anymore, but training camp still going on, and I'll be honest with you, a nice day for the first team offense when you could run the plays. We'll talk about what I mean on that. Got to talk about the fact that Ben Johnson announced that the starters will play. What does that mean for reps coming up this week? And we got to talk about the left tackle competition. A new name thrown into the mix, kind of, maybe, a little bit. We'll see. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Today's episode is brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes, so they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas-style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6, right off of I-80-94. All right, let's start with the big news. The starters will play this Sunday. Ben Johnson talked about that when we talked to him at the podium earlier today before practice. I think that he hasn't picked out the reps yet. You know, I think this is a big move that the starters are going to play. He hasn't said how much the starters are going to play. I would assume not a ton, everybody. But on a Sunday night game, it is nice to see the first team offense go out there and to see them get real reps versus a defense in the Buffalo Bills that probably is going to be pretty good this season. Looking at, kind of Caleb Williams and what he's going to get out of the day, I think that the most important thing that we continue to see be an issue here at camp is the thing that I want to see them kind of get together in a real game situation, which is the pre-snap issues. It's the thing that I'm most concerned about with this team. I think it's the thing that, if we're being honest, it's going to hold the team back the most, because when the plays actually run, we're seeing an offense that does click. We're seeing Caleb be able to link up with Olamide Zaccheaus. We're seeing Caleb be able to link up with Roma Dunze, right? He's able to go out there and make those plays. But right now, I think the most important thing is getting the play run right without a penalty to start the play off. It doesn't matter how good you are at executing the play if the play can't get started because of an illegal formation or because of a false start, or you get a holding penalty out there, right? Technique is everything. The details is everything. That's what Ben Johnson has told us so much, and that's what I want to see this Sunday with the starters out there. Where are you at in-game situation with your details? I love the fact that we are going to get to see the first team starters. I would tell you, though, to kind of temper your expectations. Ben Johnson has not been one to start his quarterbacks very much. Usually the first year that he's in charge, I actually did a little research before the Morning Breeze this morning, and 2023, Jared Goff ended up playing with Ben Johnson. He threw 3 passes in the game. He completed 2 of them. I believe he did score a touchdown in that, and they got him out of the game. Is not a ton of passes coming, but he did see how he operated the offense. 2023, 2024, you didn't see that anymore. Jared Goff didn't start another game. I would expect there not to be a ton from Caleb Williams in this game, and I would hope for not a ton from Caleb Williams in this game. I'm looking for one drive, one score, get out, because that's what the best of the best quarterbacks usually find a way to do. I know Joe Burrow ended up playing a couple of reps, but we're not in those days anymore where somebody's going to play a full half, or we saw Tyson Bagent do it, but again, backup quarterback. Your starters aren't playing usually full quarters, full halves. I would expect to see a drive, maybe 2 from Caleb Williams as far as snap count there. And because it is about the reps that they feel are very valuable in the joint practice. We'll see how the joint practice goes. That's also something Ben Johnson told us. They also feel that they can get more reps. According to Ben Johnson, they got Caleb Williams 100 reps that he wouldn't have gotten by doing practice the way that they did, by running the system the way that they did, where he doesn't play in the game, but where he gets those pre-game, I guess, practice reps that he's able to add in, plus the practice that they had the day after the game. So we'll see how this ends up working out for the Bears. But at a minimum, you will get to see the starters both on offense and on defense. Very intrigued to see what Dennis Allen's defense looks like with the big name guys out there. Let me know what you're excited to see from the starters out there. I just got done talking with Al Harris up there as we got a chance to talk with the assistants, and I'm extremely excited to see what Jaquan Brisker looks like in this first team defense. The question I asked him, what did he think that Jaquan Brisker, that he showed on tape, but that, you get to the building and you get to see it in person, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I didn't even realize this while watching the tape. And the thing that he said was the explosiveness that Jaquan has, how physical he plays, how quickly he gets downhill, both in the run and in the pass game, how explosive Jaquan is. It can't be quantified just by the tape. Really excited to see that explosiveness get back on the field. Haven't seen Jaquan, I believe, since week 5 of last season when we were still in London. I think the Jacksonville game might be the last game, or maybe even before. I don't know if he traveled to London with us, so maybe before we even ended up going to London. Or that the Patriots game there? The big thing, though, like to me, when I'm looking at what this first team defense is going to look like, I think we saw some really good reps out of the second team defense versus Miami's first team offense last week. I love how Dennis Allen called the game. I thought he called multiple fronts. I thought it was a little bit too open in the middle of the field, but truthfully, you're playing with not Tremaine Edmonds and not TJ Edwards out there, getting an opportunity to see what those two look like in this Dennis Allen defense for the first time. That is something that I am going to be very intrigued by, and seeing kind of what Ruben Hippolyte looks like, not as that main guy that we saw out there with him and Noah Sewell, but as that third guy, getting an opportunity to see what Noah Sewell looks like as that third guy in this defense, because they really were making plays out there. I believe Sewell came away with 6 tackles, a forced fumble in that game. I believe Hippolyte came away with 5 tackles himself. Very good for the rookie. Very intrigued to see, what is that going to look like when you're not the main guy? How are you still making an impact? Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down to talk with you guys as well. Let's keep it moving along, though. We do got to get to some housekeeping here with some of the injuries that we had here. The big thing right now, and probably the big news of the day as well, along with the starters, this also announced by Ben Johnson. Kyler Gordon will be week to week at this point. Hamstring injuries are something that are very, very scary to play with. It's something that could be a 2-week injury. It's something that could be a 2-month injury. We've seen hamstring injuries linger as long as 6, 7. I mean, like, Justin Jefferson had a hamstring last year that seemed like it lasted forever. And sometimes you never truly get over them. Kyler Gordon, a big part of this Bears defense. Not going to see him on Sunday. The belief is that they're hoping to still get him back for that week 1, but you truly got to keep an eye on a hamstring injury, because you don't know where that's going to go. You don't know if let's try and get him back out there. Let's push him to get back out there by week 1. Now it turns into he doesn't play for the first 5 weeks. We've seen how hamstring injuries can get ugly. It's something you have to be very delicate with. Same situation. I don't know if it's the same injury, but kind of how they're treating Jaylon Johnson here. That same way, talking about very vague on the injury, still just talking about, you never know with injuries like that, how it's going to go. I don't think any of us have asked Ben Johnson directly what the injury is. And maybe that needs to be the thing that we do when we get a chance to talk to him again, because he seems that he keeps talking like, we know everything that the injury is. And at least and let me know if in the comments if anybody else has reported it or anybody else has heard. I don't remember hearing Ben Johnson tell us what the injury was, but he says he's being extremely careful and dealing with that, that he's being extremely careful in how, they're going to go about the business of getting Jaylon back worked in, trying to get him out there for week 1. So some of the injuries there, just a little update. He does say, though, that Jaylon Johnson is still on track to be there week 1. But remember, Luther Burden was on track to be there for training camp. Colston Loveland was on track to be ready to go for training camp. And I believe mini camp was supposed to be a part of that as well. And we didn't see them meet those deadlines. Now, those are camp practices, very different. A game on day 1 is an extremely different conversation, especially when, you've got the dogs over there. They do. Now, they continue to have wide receivers in Minnesota get put on IR or season-ending injury. I mean, like, it is getting ugly up there, or, getting suspended for some of the dumbest things that we've seen. But it truly is going to be interesting to see, who are we going to have back? Are they going to be ready to go by week 1? Let's talk about the practice a little bit, though. I thought practice today was, listen, when the first team was able to get the play off and run the play, I thought that they looked amazing. I thought that Caleb Williams got the ball to his receivers on time. I believe when I counted everything out, and y'all know I'm not the big, this is the stat of the day, because if he goes 2 for 14, I don't care. If he goes 16 for 16, I don't care. But getting the ball out efficiently today, over delivering on that 70% number at 14 for 16 today. I thought he did a really good job, like I said, getting the ball out of his hands, minus, a final period where it felt like it was half speed. It was versus the twos. You can't take a ton from that. It was a situational period. Maybe they were just working through something. Didn't feel like the pass rush was going full speed there. But overall, I thought Caleb had a really solid day today. Outside of one thing, and this is not just a Caleb thing, this is a first-team offense thing. This is a second-team offense thing. This is a third-team offense thing. This is a Chicago Bears thing. And it is the thing that is most concerning to me right now. It's the pre-snap penalties. I believe, based off of what I counted, there were 6 either false starts or illegal formation penalties on the Chicago Bears today, first, second, and third team. And it just continues to pop up, continues to be an issue, continues to be something that is truly starting to be a little bit concerning to me because, right, I remember last season where I kept asking Flus, how are we going to get this fixed? What's going on? Is there going to be a change? Is there going to be a difference? What is your expectation? And he said, by the time we get to game day, we'll have those things cleaned up. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the first play of the season was a false start. That is where my concern is starting to build here. Now, we still got plenty of time for the pre-snap things, and maybe it truly isn't. And when asking Ben Johnson about it, he said, guys are still, now we're not going through install. They've got it down pat, but there is still that, okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right play? You have to get that down because I don't care how good Ben Johnson's offense is. I don't care how good our play callers are. I don't care how good our coaches are. No play is going to get going if you can't get through the first snap, if you can't get to the line and get the operation. Now, to the Bears' credit, what I do seem to notice is after they take a penalty, they usually go out there and run a play. That's a pretty good play that gets a big chunk back, and they put themselves in a position to go for it. We know Ben Johnson's going to go for it on fourth down, and penalties are going to happen. I'm not saying that you can't have any penalties, but there was a in 11 on 11 today, probably the worst period, I would say, of the day. My bad, I'm pulling up my notes here. Probably the worst period that I would say of the day that the Bears actually ended up going through, where there was here it is, handoff to Swift, great cutback, big gain. Pass over the middle to Rome, big gain. Illegal formation, false start, fumble. That's the trifecta. And the fumble was on what was supposed to be, I believe, a crack toss to the right. Illegal formation, false start, fumble. And then off of that, pass to Swift, very big gain, puts you in a position to go forward. Now, these were situational periods where they kind of, I know Ben Johnson said there was no script. It felt a little scripted because it went from on the fumble, what would have been probably 2nd and 16 to like 2nd and 7. But then, they get the pass to get the first down in the next period, which I don't know how that works. But the big thing for me was that it was just pre-snap procedure issue, somebody not knowing where they're supposed to be on the play. Like, those are the moments that you can't have, and they continue to pop up here in practice. Now, in practice, it's fine. If it weren't translating to the field, it would be fine. But we also saw this when Tyson Bagent was running the offense. Now, again, not first-team offense, but this has been something that seems like it's been going through the entire offense. We also saw this when Tyson Bagent was running the offense in Sunday's game. Pre-snap issues, procedural issues, not being in the right spot, illegal formation. Those are things that you have to get cleaned up. And this is the time to do it. I'm still not to the point where I'm like, oh my God, full panic mode, hit the button. We're going to be one of the most penalized teams in football. I'm not there at all yet. Where I am at, though, is now that you're out of the install process, and I asked Ben Johnson about this today, he's still giving them a lot. They still have everything on their plate as far as they know. Where is it going to get to the point where you're comfortable with the plays that are being called in, to the point where you're not jumping? When is it going to get to the point where you're comfortable with the plays that are being called in, to the point where you know exactly what motion you need to be in? There has been a couple of times where, Caleb Williams has had to let Luther Burden know, kind of this motion. You got to go all the way through, that you're not stopping here on this play. Like, those are the things. And Luther Burden a little bit behind schedule with the rest of the wide receivers, different situation. But, like, those are the things that I think really stand out to me on a consistent basis that continue to kill teams. How many plays last season were killed? How many drives last season were killed because of pre-snap procedural issues? And it's not that Ben Johnson isn't addressing it. And I think that is the biggest thing. It's something where, you would hope to say that it's going to continue to move in the right direction. Now, to me, I feel like we've gotten to this point where it's kind of stagnated, where there's a few great periods, and then there's these moments where it's just issue. And then there's these great periods, great period. Pre-snap. And it's usually when you see Caleb kind of snap or Ben Johnson kind of snap and start to get on the offense a little bit. But when is that going to go away, especially just in the practice period? Again, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm just asking that you go out there and it becomes the thing that is kind of an afterthought where you say, we're moving on to the next play. That's fine. Because we know that you're comfortable with this playbook. And we're still early on in this. This is still preseason. This is not, the end of it's not even the end of preseason. This is not the end of camp. There's still, I think, 14 or 13 more days to go here. We've still got a couple of weeks for these guys to get some things worked in. But just very, very, to me, the thing that I probably am most concerned about heading into the season, it's not Caleb Williams and his accuracy. It's not being able to read a defense. It is, can you get this first team offense on track fast enough to where when that Vikings game comes, we're talking about a false start here, maybe a hold here and there, but we're not talking about every single drive being hampered down by penalties. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. One final thing before I get out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. The final thing that I have that I thought was incredibly intriguing and maybe is the final nail in the coffin. Theo Benedict is now in the mix. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Canadian Eagle, come on, Eagle, is now in the mix ahead of Kiran Amagajie for the left tackle spot. At least he was today. I don't know if this is going to be a long-term thing. I don't know if this is going to be the end-all, be-all. But today, how the left tackle competition went was Braxton Jones with the first, and oof, my God, in one-on-ones did he get cooked by Dio Odangbo, who had a really nice day, actually. I gotta give Dio credit. Had a really nice day today. But there was a play. I mean, he false started in one-on-ones. He false starts in one-on-ones, and then Dio runs past him. I mean, nasty move. Braxton tries to recover. Dio throws him to the ground. He's at the quarterback. Quarterback's dead. This is not real quarterback, just one-on-one for the drill. But I mean, Braxton took snaps with the ones and twos, because there was like this weird like swapping in and out where Theo Benedict was coming in for Braxton Jones on some of these plays. I don't know if that's because of injury or what, but with the ones and twos, Theo Benedict was getting snaps, and then with the threes, you had Kiran Amagajie taking snaps. And I'm going to be real with you. I've said this before. It's felt like Kiran has been out of this race for a while. When looking, and I'm not a body language guy, but when you look at him on the field, it feels like he knows he's out of the race. I don't know if you should be concerned by the demeanor or the attitude. But I do know that if he's going to be the third left tackle on this team, it's time to try him at guard. Like, he's a third-round pick. I don't think that you just give up on that guy. If you feel like we need to be starting the Canadian Eagle, Theo Benedict, over Braxton or over Kiran Amagajie, let's pull that Band-Aid off there. Because and this wasn't an issue. I think this was a bodies issue. Darnell Wright got the start with the ones on the right side. Ozzie Trapillo out there with the ones on the right side as well. Or it could be they truly believe Braxton Jones is going to be the starting left tackle and Ozzie Trapillo is going to be the swing tackle for this team. So we better get some reps in on both sides of the football. 100% could be the case in this situation. And you want to get, the Theo Benedict, worked into the mix. But I was surprised at seeing Theo Benedict be ahead of Kiran today. And I just think that signifies, we feel like you're the one that is pulling the rear right now. and we need to find a better spot for you. Or is it going to be we're going to cut bait with you? Again, Karan, maybe it's depth, but I haven't seen Karan have this great day. I haven't seen Karan have a day where we're coming back and we're like, yo, this is it. He's finally, it's starting to click for him. He's not great, but it is starting to click for him. Theo Benedict had a solid day today. Again, against the twos, more so against the twos than anything. But I thought he had a solid day today where, not that I would sit there and say I want him to be the starting left tackle, not even over Braxton. But it looked like he knew how to play the position and that he could hold his own, especially when he was in there on the reps with Joe Thuney. I just, finishing this out, the one thing that I do want to see with how this tackle competition is going to play out is truly how do guys consistently look next to Joe Thuney. That's the thing that I think, you can kind of hang your hat on and feel a little bit more comfortable with. I continue to say this. Braxton Jones in the run game will be fine. I know everybody wants to pull up the play where he gets beat to the inside. And, yeah, that was bad. And those are the moments where you feel like Ozzie is going to be better. I looked back at that game and I said, Ozzie had a pretty good game. I think he's going to be your starting left tackle. Feels like Braxton is still kind of in the lead for that job. We'll see how that ends up playing out. But right now, looking at Braxton Jones on that left side, I feel better knowing Joe Thuney's standing right next to him. Why? Because I know Joe Thuney knows how to do his job, and so Braxton can kind of focus in one-on-one. Does that mean he's going to get better at the bull rush all of a sudden? No, it doesn't. Does that mean all of a sudden he's going to turn into an elite left tackle on the left side? No, it doesn't. Can he be serviceable? That is the question that you have to answer, because I'll tell you this right now. With how the schedule starts, I believe you take on Javon Hargraves, you take on and Jonathan Grenard. My goodness. You got Micah Parsons in the mix. You have, if he signs a contract, I think Trey Hendrickson is in there. You've got Max Crosby in there. Who am I missing? Detroit. You got Aiden Hutchinson in there. Like, is that the world you want to throw your rookie left tackle in? If he's the best player, 100%. You just got to know, hey, this is going to be ugly. And it could be a situation where, I've said this as well, with some of the left tackles that have gone down in this league, do you use this early time to try and build Braxton Jones' trade value up and then throw Ozzie into that conversation? I don't know how it's going to end out. I know that Theo Benedict's in there over Kiran Amagajie, and it feels like we're starting to see that competition kind of take form with Braxton still at the one. I know a lot of people disagree with how that plays out and how that, Braxton's the starting left tackle, this is going to be terrible. And I don't disagree with you. I just think it's going to be serviceable. And serviceable, if you're a good quarterback, you should be able to get away with. The question then falls on Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson in this offense. How good of a quarterback are you going to be able to make them? How good of an offense are you going to be able to run? Hey, I'm going to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. We'll be back here tomorrow for practice, recording after practice, and I believe we will have Courtney on tomorrow, so stay tapped in with us on that. As always, man, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.